Bless me, Father, for I've sinned. It's been about, Christ, it's 20 years since my last confession.
Mikey.
Yeah, can I get 2 cheeseburgers, a side of fries, and throw in the Holy Spirit?
You're the only prick who would come here and order fast food. So, what are you scared of?
Everything. It's like everything I've ever done in my life. Good, bad, everything. It just feels like this dream. No matter what I do, I'll always be who I was, not who I am.
It's fair enough. So who are you?
What's this I hear you fighting tonight? In the garden, that's big!
You know, you're the only prick I know can smoke a pack a day and still go 12 rounds.
Today's my last day. I'm sorry I didn't give you more. Just remember the good.
Whichever way it goes tonight, just know that we're proud of you.
No matter what happens, I need to know that you will pay.
Kid, I love you, you know I do.
But you gotta let things go. I got nothing, okay? I got no wife, I got no kid, I got nothing.
I'm sorry I wasn't the son that you wanted.
I think the people that really matter in your life are far more willing to forgive than you might expect.
This is it. This is everything.
I have to say, and I'm sure you heard. Hi, Ron. I'm sure you heard this today, but it was such a pleasure. I've been doing this podcast for like 13, 14 years, and you're definitely was on my short list for a long time.
You should
I've
have
been
asked
wanting.
sooner. I probably would
It
have
didn't
said
occur to
yes.
me. Good,
Yeah.
you're right. I should have thought of that actually. I'm a little slow on that. Well, this is a good project to talk to bring us together. So I'm grateful for it. It's called Day of the Fight. It's in theaters already. I guess it's already in probably in New York and LA, I'm guessing, and I'm sure it's about to expand into other markets.
Yeah.
Um,
We've got adding
how
some cities tonight.
you're yeah, good. So thank you for making yourself available.
Sure,
Where
my
are you
pleasure.
right now?
I'm in my home in Southern California.
Very nice. And I'm sort of north of New York in the Hudson Valley as we speak, but I
Beautiful part of
really
the
enjoy.
world.
What's that?
I grew up in northern Manhattan, Washington Heights, so I know where
I
you
know.
are. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful spot where you are.
It is. It is. After many decades, I got a little burnt out, and I decided to take a leap of faith, and just it worked out real well. And it's really beautiful up here, and I really enjoy it. Occurred to me after seeing the film, I was wondering if what you thought about why boxing films hold such, you know, the public seems to really love boxing films. There's something about the boxing story. I mean, in this case, I guess you could say it's more about the boxer himself than it is about the fight, but it's still about the phenomenon, right? About boxing. And do you have any thoughts about what might be the intrigue there?
Well, the sport itself is incredibly theatrical, and in its essence, because it's so explosive. There's so much, so many dynamics at play in watching a fight. Number one, a good fight where the backers haven't, queered the deal,
Yeah.
and predetermined how it was going to end. It's as exciting a thing as you can watch, because it could end at any minute of the 12 rounds to 15 rounds that it's taking place. And so it has all this drama, it has all this intrigue, and it has all of this so many different ways it could go. The people who are involved in the fight game generally come from really hard scrabble backgrounds, and they find some sort of a way to channel their inability to do anything else when they discover boxing. So they're prepared to be successful in one regard, but they're really unprepared to be successful when you get successful, because then they're around all of these, grifters and all of these gangsters and all these that want something from them. So there's an inherent drama in that. And there's a kind of a tragic element to the fact that these kids probably came from ghettos. They're not prepared to have money. When they finally do have money, that's the biggest problem of their lives.
Right.
And
They haven't been taught. They haven't been taught how to. They haven't taught responsibility to money. So yet,
so yeah, I think that's probably makes for a great springboard to why boxing is so conducive to movies.
Yeah. Do you feel like compelled to? Oh, by the way, it occurred to me when we were talking about also, the boxers and where they're from, and I realized I live only, a couple of minutes from Catskill, New York, where, of course, Mike Tyson trained. It's the town is known for that, and but do you feel like it? I don't know, like you spend time exploring who your character Stevie was named Stevie Ross. You're Mikey's coach. Do you go back and kind of create the character, who this guy is, and like make a whole background for him? In this case, is that part of your approach, your technique?
I think that's just acting 101. You get all of the cues you need from reading the script, but there's a huge amount that you need to fill in about, because the script only tells you what it wants you to see in the storytelling, but your job is to find the human that is being described in those interactions. So yeah, I always create a backstory. I think every actor creates a backstory for every character they play, if you're doing your job right.
But you do that on your own, or is
Yeah.
that something you maybe create with Jack Huston, who is the writer director on this?
Well, it's always a collaboration. I mean, the end game is to give the filmmaker, especially if he wrote the script and he really, really understands the story he's trying to tell, the end game is to give him all the things he needs to effectively get the story onto the screen. So yeah, it's my job to create a big backstory, but there's a huge amount of discussion about what he sees as the backstory of the character. And so when you're doing it right, and the most beautiful part of filmmaking is the collaborative nature of it all. It's like nobody's doing their job in a vacuum. Everything is a discussion with the other artists, whether it be the filmmaker, the other actors, the writer, etc. You're trying to glom as much information as you can to be effective in the performance in any way you can. So yeah.
How do you watch also other performances. There's such like we were talking about towards the beginning. There's so many boxing movies, and there are really some great character studies, especially when it comes to coaches. I was looking back and trying to kind of create a little list of the lineage a little bit, and of course, I think Mickey Rooney was in Great White Hope. Was he the? Do you remember? I think he might have been the coach in that. But there's
not Great White Hope, but Requiem for a Heavyweight.
Requiem for a Heavy. Good. I was testing you, Ron, and you passed.
How did I do?
Well, you did well. Yeah. Thank you for that. Um, Clint Eastwood, of course, $1 Million Baby. Joe Pesci, who's one of the co-stars in Day of the Fight, this film, and Burgess Meredith, of course, in Rocky 1 and 2, I think. Any of those? Do you ever even bother watching for other performances, maybe to try to see how those actors, what they did with the role of a coach?
Well, I've seen every one of those movies, and I loved every one of those movies. But I would never use any of those other performances to affect the performance that I'm going to give, because the circumstances of those relationships and those scenarios were completely different than the one that I'm trying to depict, between the dynamic between Stevie and Irish Mike. So, as much as I am a devotee and a fan of those films, they stand alone in my memory banks, but have nothing to do with the work I do on this particular assignment.
I understand. It seemed, though, that you and Michael C. Pitt, who plays, of course, Irish Mike, who it seemed like you two bonded, and it comes across, in the performances. There's a particular, I know, synergy or something that happened there. And I don't know if you're even aware of it. If you look back at the film, if you had that opportunity to watch it, but by the time the fight is over and you share a hug, it's actually really a special moment. I got choked up just watching what happened there.
Yeah, I got choked
your
up.
Final hug.
I got choked up remembering that moment and also talking about it, because it is, there's something about the way he Irish exits from the most important night of his life before anybody has a chance to pop any champagne with him and congratulate him. And then there's something about that when Mike grabs Stevie and gives him that hug, there's something about that hug I felt when we were playing it that made Stevie think, I may never see this kid again. So when I say to him, I'll check up with you in the morning, there's some sort of a recognition in his mind there may not be a tomorrow. And I think that's what's charging emotionally that moment.
Again, the name of the film is called Day of the Fight. It's already in theaters, and it's expanding as of our conversation today on the 13th. It's the 13th, Friday the 13th. I hear all the time, because I see a lot of films, and I always hear how dramas, character-driven dramas like Day of the Fight are, don't get made anymore. And I'm sure they don't in the numbers they may have once, but this is getting a theatrical distribution. It's great that a film like this. Can you talk a little bit about, as somebody who plays a range of types of roles in a range of types of budgeted films, like, your thoughts about that, if you have any thoughts about that?
I have a gazillion thoughts about that. The hardest thing about a movie like this is how hard it is to find distribution, and how hard it is to create a release that's effective and that gives a film a chance to be seen by multitudes of people. And I can't get into the logistics of how fucked Jack got in the releasing part of the film. I can tell you that I had a production company of my own for about 6 years called Winging It Prayer Pictures. I made about 11 movies. And the reason why we're out of business is because we couldn't figure out a way to get these films released. We've made movies that won awards at film festivals, but the money that needs to be spent to get distribution is a separate kind of a spend. And no one has the courage to put the resources behind a movie like Day of the Fight that is commensurate with what it needs to reach a large audience. So what Jack is going through now is kind of heartbreaking. It hasn't gotten a big release. Every single thing that you see is a result of Jack's investment, his own money and his own protecting his own film. And it's criminal because the industry has kind of betrayed its own responsibilities to make sure great things get to people. That's just a little bit of how I feel, but there's a gazillion ways that I feel about all this right now, which we don't have time to go into.
I appreciate your sharing as much as that, actually. And, you know, I this is kind of the whole reason I have this podcast and why I continue it, because I feel the same way. And it's frustrating. You know, we live in this spot up here where there seems to be quite an appetite. I was in a documentary last night about union organizing at Amazon, and it was packed cinema, packed. And it's been the case with that recent Jesse Eisenberg film, A Real Pain. I went also to see that in the cinema. It was packed. And I don't know. I feel like there is an audience for it. There is an appetite for it. It's just that they don't have the marketing dollars. That's, in a word, I guess.
Yeah,
but
I'm thrilled to hear that you saw two things where the theater was packed. And you're right. The audience is there. It's just the people who are responsible for protecting the sanctity of the film that's been made by getting the marketing right to get to the audience. That's what's lacking. And so, but I'm thrilled that anytime any movie finds a packed house, and regardless of what the explanation of it is thrilling to me.
Yeah, A Day of the Fight. I mean, you watch it, and as I explained to you, I was moved by, just as one example, your relationship with, Michael Pitt's character, the boxer in this film. And when you have moments like that in a theater with other folks, the emotional response becomes heightened because you're sharing it. There's an energy, there's a common sharing that goes on, and it's why you hear people sniffling or laughing together, and it catches, and it just becomes so much more of a real wonderful experience. So, I recognize that I'm a certain age and I live in a certain spot where maybe this can happen, but I don't know. I feel a little bit more optimistic, I guess, that perhaps we're going into things might change, but that's just I might be completely deluded. I don't know.
Well, God love the deluded of us that remain positive.
Yeah. Your tweets, by the way. Oh, and we'll just say again, Day of the Fight is the name of the film, directed and written by Jack Huston, a Brit, right? He's Englishman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your tweets got me through a lot of challenging moments in the last bunch of years. I don't know if you're still doing, because I got off the thing, but
yeah, I got off it too.
You did, yeah. Of course. Is there a way you vent your I guess political your response to your feelings to the political world at the moment, or do you just sort of
I put all of my attention into my culture of storytelling and trying to lift people up and trying to do things that people look at and forget their troubles for a few minutes and and admire and feel speak to their better angels. That's my response to the world we're living in right now.
I like that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, by the way. And again, I didn't, I was feeling especially like nervous about it because like I said at the beginning, I really wanted to bring you on for multiple reasons onto this, and I finally had the opportunity. And then I'm like, my God, what am I going to say? But I appreciate your I don't know, your involvement and um, engagement. Thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing all these other projects that you have coming up. You're really busy as ever.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Good
luck
luck
with
to
this.
all of us.
I know exactly. So, thank you. All right. All right.